Sige, go, go, go.
Good evening, everyone. So, before we start, let's bow down our heads first. Let's put ourselves in the holy presence of God and let's pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So, Lord God, we are asking for your guidance in tonight's sharing. May you give us the reporters the wisdom and the confidence to be able to impart knowledge to our listeners. We also hope for a better internet connection for each one of us here, wherever we are in our corner in the corner of our houses, and may you give us strength and motivation every day to finish our task. We ask for all of this in the name of Jesus. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, so once again, good evening, everyone. I am Remy D. Saboyano, and I am the first reporter for tonight's session, and I will be discussing first global understanding. Okay, but before that, can I have some comments or can I have some perceptions from anyone in this class? What for you is global understanding? So you can type your answers in our chat box, or you can also raise your hand if you want to answer it verbally. Yes. Do you have any idea? Okay, I think no one has any. All right, thank you so much, Kuya. Knowledge about the world, very good. So basically, when we say global understanding, it is simply defined as the ability to understand what's happening around the world. Because when we say global, it is associated with the term world. The world which consists or which refers to the earth and all of the people who live in it. Places, the things in it, our societies, the institutions, and the ways of living of all the people that live there. So global understanding. So basically, it talks about understanding what's with the world, what's happening around the world, and the term understanding or the concept understanding. It's not just about hearing and knowing something, and that's it. As long as you can understand literally, and then you can answer some questions na related, and then that's it. Sabot na ka. Understanding is more than what we can see and what we can hear. Because when we know how to understand, then we will be able to know how other people are feeling, right? So let's simply put it this way. When you understand someone's differences, then you will easily accept and adjust to them. It's like putting yourself in their shoes. So basically, again, understanding is deeper than what we think it is. Next slide, please. Okay, so can someone please read understanding the definition? Okay, Gian, can you please read?
Understanding it is the ability to use knowledge to find meaning and connection with different pieces of information and perspectives.
Yes, thank you so much. So from the word no itself, different. So meaning to say, understanding from the word different, dapat di ay dili ra ta mo stick sa usa ka concept o usa ka perception to be able to understand something. We should know how to gather different information from different points of view para mas masabtan nato ang usa ka concept. All right, so when we say global understanding, it is also very crucial. It is very important because global understanding will lead us to a wider room for inclusivity. Because again, we are diverse, diversity. Because of diversity, we came from one nation. Yes, we came from one nation. We came from Philippines. But lain gihapon ta og gigikanan. We came from different ethnic groups, so we have different cultures, we have different traditions, we have different backgrounds, and these are some of the reasons why we perceive things differently. But we are aware man sa it, di ba? But awareness is different from understanding. Pero dapat aware sa tadaan para makasabot ta. So kung makasabot na nga nagkalain-lain ang atang sa kalibutan, then we will become more open to treat different people equally. And then the term global understanding actually put focus on trying to better interactions between the people with differences, which is actually extremely important in our globalized world. So it also gives us a chance to know how other people in this world live and think. So kani siya nga advocacy, global understanding advocacy, it's really the strongest bridge para magkailhanay ka, but to deeply understand other people's way of living and thinking, it's best to immerse ourselves sa ilang kinabuhi. Since, di ba, experience is the best teacher. Would you agree? Yes, so through it, mas makahibaw ta nga nung ning anak sila kung sa ilang gigikanan ug nganong lahi sila sa atoa and vice versa. Also, ang global understanding, it promotes interdisciplinary collaboration that focused on solutions to problems of global concerns. Again, it promotes interdisciplinary. So, meaning to say, di ba, when we say inter, it means nasa gawas, so it entails socialization. So, meaning to say, kung natin global understanding, mas magkasinabtanay ta kay we will become close man and we can openly express our thoughts and our ideas sa different sectors, sa different na aspects sa atong government ka, maka-contribute po ta ba sa kalambuan sa atong nasod. So basically, we can freely express our inputs to others and at the same time, we can also address our concerns so that mas dali maaksyonan ang mga global issues na nakasurround nato. Right, next slide please. Okay, here we have four interrelated cognitive processes that globally competent students need to use for them to be able to understand fully global or intercultural issues and situations. So can someone please read the four interrelated cognitive processes? Okay, Carol, please read.
So first, we have evaluate information. Next, we have analyze multiple perspectives. Third, understanding difference. And lastly, evaluate actions and consequences.
Yes, thank you so much. All right, so these are connected. These are four connected cognitive processes that a globally competent student must use or need to use. So, di ba, ang globally competent individual, he or she is someone who has an openness towards people from different cultural backgrounds. And he or she has an attitude of respect for the cultural differences and an attitude of global mindedness. So, meaning to say, he or she has an understanding of his or her need to become a global citizen na ay respeto sa kauban. So, these, if someone is globally competent individual, so these are the four interrelated or connected na mga cognitive processes na dapat niyang buhaton so that he or she will be able to fully understand kung sa mga global issues or intercultural issues and situations na nakasurround nato. So first, we need to evaluate the information. Yes, of course, we need to assess, di ba? The capacity to evaluate information will enable you to formulate arguments and explain complex situations and problems by using it in connecting evidence, identifying biases in information, and conflicting arguments. So basically, when we know how to evaluate information, so kibalo ta mo assess sa mga issues and base all of those from facts that comes from reliable and reliable na mga information of sources. Next, we have analyze perspectives or analyze multiple perspectives. So, di ba, we have different perspectives from the word itself. Yeah, different perspectives, different sides, because again, we are diverse. So we can, if someone is globally competent individual, he or she has the capacity to analyze perspectives and worldviews by positioning and connecting their own and other perspectives on the worlds. Next is understand differences. So let's emphasize the word differences, di ba? Or understanding diversity. So the capacity to understand differences in communication, recognizing the importance of socially appropriate communication and adapting it to the demands of diverse cultural contexts. So someone who is globally competent individual must keep in mind na dapat he or she knows or keep in mind nga in every situation there are many perspectives and we need to consider those. Last but not the least is to evaluate actions and consequences. Yes, of course, we need to evaluate. We need to assess the actions nga itong buhatan and assess it if it's wrong or right, good or bad. So we can identify or we can evaluate actions and consequences by identifying and comparing the different courses of action and weighing actions on the basis of its consequences. Next slide, please. All right. So now let's move on with a wide variety of tasks utilizing different cognitive processes that the globally competitive student should be able to perform. So this is actually connected sa first, the previous slide na akong gipakita. So these are the tasks na atong buhaton as a globally competitive student para ma-make use nato ang mga different cognitive processes na ato ang gipakita kanina, which is consist of four different related cognitive processes. So for us to be able to make use of those, then we need to perform these tasks. So first, we need to reason with evidence about an issue. Yes, dapat kabalo ta mo reason out, di ba mo? How do I say this? We need to fight or fight for our arguments na dapat to base sa proofs and evidences. Kanila ta magbuot. And then we also have to search effectively for useful sources of information. Yes, we need to have a credible source so that ang atong gipangkuha nga mga issues, mga news, mga information kay sakto tinuod. Let's not spread fake news, etc. Something like that. So next is to evaluate information on the basis of its relevance and reliability. So we need to assess ang atong information na gikuha kay importante ba based on its importance, based on its purpose, and on its trustworthiness. Or so you have credibility. And then we also need to synthesize information for us to be able to describe the main ideas. So synthesize, we need to say we need to integrate, we need to combine, connect all of this information nga itong makuha so that maka-distinguish to what's the main idea out from it. And then last but not least, we should be able to perform combining our background knowledge, our new information, and our critical reasoning for us to build multi-casual explanations of global or intercultural issues. Because through it, when we combine with our background knowledge and our new information, then anang daghan tag matigom ng mga perceptions na pwede natong serve as our arguments, our mga supporting details for us to explain mga global or intercultural issues surrounding us. All right, so to sum it up, if we are a globally competitive individual with global understanding, then we can respect and work well with people from diverse cultures that will lead to a more interconnected world. Okay, that's it for global understanding. So nasabtan na ba everyone? All right, thank you so much. Now let's move on. Let's jump into our next discussion. Next slide, please. All right, now let's have integrating global and intercultural issues in the curriculum. All right, yun ang naman ni integrating global and intercultural issues in the curriculum. So when we say integrating, diba, it means combining. So here daw, we will combine or bring together global issues and intercultural issues together sa curriculum or sa standards-based sequence of instruction or sa syllabus para magtinabangay sila. We will bring both of those issues together to work together. So but before na ito mahibawan how to integrate those issues in the curriculum. Why there is a need to integrate both of those. Before that one, let's define first some mga global issues of intercultural issues. Kaya kanila lang dito si kids but ani. All right. So please next slide please. Next slide please. All right, sorry for that. Okay, can someone read what global issue is? Okay, Kasipong, please read.
Global issues are those that affect all individuals regardless of their nation or social group. They range from trade to poverty, human rights, geopolitics, and the environment. Global issues reveal how different regions around the world are interconnected by shedding light on the diversity and commonality of their experiences. This is according to Boyks, Mancilia, and Jackson in 2011.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Robilin. So yes, again, when we say global issues, these are also called local issues. Yes, why? Why is it so? It's because global issues, my God, they are global in their reach. Yes, they can reach globally, they can reach in every corner, in every places of the world, but local communities experience them in very diverse ways. Like, for example, let's have pollution. So, if there's pollution in one certain place, it will actually affect the ozone layer somewhere else. So, nag-start siya sa usa ka place, but almost all of the people that surrounds the world, kaya di ba, we are surrounded by, yes, ozone layer protects us from the heat of the sun or something like that. So, if may pollution from a certain place, ang kuan sa atong ozone layer, pagkanipis sa atong ozone layer, yes, makaapekto na siya sa mga tao all over the world. So it is, or it will reach globally, but different communities and different people locally will experience them in very diverse ways. Kasi nalain ba, hindi ba ito same og lugar nga gipuyan. So nalain tag ways of lalain ta og mga kahimtang sa kanabuhi. So nalain ta og way on how we will be able to experience those issues. Another example, we have floods. So floods in an agricultural areas will not only ruin the local environment that they have, but it will also affect the market worldwide and drive waves of migration. So dili na siya sa aspect sa environment like sa economy maka-affect, but it can also affect other aspects like sa market and also the ways of the number of population nga mo-push diri sa ating nation since daghan na ang umay, daghan og makuan, daghan ang ganahan mo balhin, it's because of floods. That's something like that. And global issues, it emerges when ecological or environmental and socio-economic or social and economic na mga factors cross borders. So that's global issues. Now let's have intercultural issues. You can read. Okay, Guarjaria, please read.
So, arise from the interaction of people with different cultural backgrounds. So, in this interaction, each party's way of thinking, believing, feeling, and acting are interpreted by the other. So, this process can be smooth if there are not extreme differences between cultures and individuals are open to learning about and accepting those differences. But intercultural interactions can also face miscommunication and misunderstanding. In the worst cases, these misunderstandings degenerate into negative stereotypes, discrimination, and violent conflict.
Yes, thank you so much. So intercultural issues, again from the word intercultural. So meaning to say again, nasa sa was. And it occurs between or it involves two or more cultures. And nasa sa gawas, meaning to say it entails socialization. So kaning mga intercultural issues will arise if during the communication process, because diba, it entails communication, it needs socialization. So during the communication process, if you don't have global understanding, you don't know how to understand differences, or you don't know how to understand what's happening around the world, then dira mo arise ang mga intercultural issues. Dira, maka-face ka miscommunication, hindi mo masabta ng tao. And in worst cases, maka-discriminate ka sa tao. You will be able to have negative stereotypes towards other people. Maka-judge ka. And the worst cases pa jud kay abot pa og mga violent nga mga conflict. So this is where again intercultural issues or mga situations arise. Nasabtan ra ba guys? Alright. So yes. Thank you so much. Now let's have integration both of this. The integration next slide please. Okay, integrating the global and intercultural issues in the curriculum. So, Karon, let's integrate or let's find out nganong naay integration of global and intercultural issues sa atong curriculum. So, um, purpose of integrating the two is for us to be aware. As early as now, we will be aware and makasabot pa nga na ay diversity around us. E kung apil naman gud siya sa atong studyhan, then we will be more equipped with the different ways, different issues first, and then be able to know the different ways on how we can solve such issues, and then we can achieve or we can attain unity and peacefulness around us. So, according to my research about global education, no, research on global education that tends to focus on social studies. So, meaning to say, it focuses more on history, economics, geography, political science, and even foreign languages classes. However, the local, global, and intercultural issues that students should learn about cut across education levels and academic disciplines. But para nako, I do believe that dapat naani siya sa atong curriculum because it will help the students to know the issues and then to take responsibility for those issues and act upon them. Yes. So, can someone please? I don't know. So that is why for global education to move from obstruction to action, according to Clean 2013 and UNESCO 2014, many advocates were recommending integrating global issues and topics into existing subjects. So let's have in practice. Content knowledge related to global competence is integrated in the curriculum and taught in the specific courses. Therefore, the students can understand those issues across ages, starting in early childhood when presenting them in developmentally appropriate ways. So this is according to Boyce, Mansoria, and Jackson 2011 and UNESCO 2015. So again, kung mag-integrate na ng mga issues sa curriculum, mas daghan ang makahibawan ng mga different issues nga nasa atong palibot like mga global issues, example poverty, intercultural issues like discrimination of the different races or even gani social status. So daghan ang ma-aware across different ages. And then if daghan ang ma-aware, then daghan ang mas makasabot nganong naa na og sa na pag-break or pag-solve eventually. So next slide please. Alright, the way that a teacher frames a topic in the curriculum is actually very important because it will shape its contribution to the global competence of the students. So when framing a topic to explore with the students, teachers must need to consider the ways in which this topic addresses. I mean, it may be in local or global dynamics, and how it can also enable students to understand broad global patterns and its impact on their local environment. So, for example, um, a mathematics teacher. So a mathematics teacher can let his or her students decide kung unsa nga function ang dapat gamiton to fit the data on world population growth. So if it's linear or exponential functions. So the teacher lets his or her student decide or be part of the decision making process. And then another example can music teacher. The music teacher can let his or her student explore how today's hip hop is expressed differently around the world. So, muna siya nga, ang teacher, the way teacher frames a topic in the curriculum will significantly shape its contribution to the global competence. And in order to avoid the risk that global education will become a catch-all curriculum, meaning to say everything will just fit na lang. Can someone please read the first bullet? Yes, Miss Anna.
Therefore, the Guadalajara 2006 affirmed that teachers must have clear ideas on global and intercultural issues that students may reflect on. They also need to collaboratively research topics and carefully design the curriculum while giving the students multiple opportunities to learn those issues. Teachers may also engage in professional learning communities and facilitate peer learning.
Yes, thank you so much. So, in order to avoid the risk that global education becomes a catch-all curriculum where everything fits, the teachers must have clear ideas about the global and intercultural issues that they want students to reflect on. They have to collaboratively research topics. Yes, we have to collaboratively research topics and design the curriculum. And they can also engage in professional learning communities and facilitate for learning. And then, moreover, textbooks and other instructional materials. So these sources can actually distort culture and ethnic differences. So besides a teacher, they need to be mindful sa mga sa content sa textbooks or sa content sa um, material nga ilang ipang disseminate sa information nga ilang ipang disseminate sa mga students and sila may facilitator of learning. And then sa side po sa student, they also have to critically examine textbooks po. Dili po magtatanga ang mga students, mag-mindful po sila sa ilang information na gibasa, if it's accurate or if it's not. Next slide, please. Okay, can someone please read? Okay, Lape, please read.
More so, teaching about minority cultures and different subjects areas entails accurate content information about ethnically and racially diverse groups and experience.
Yes, and how about the second bullet? Yes, Ms. Castro.
Curricula should promote the integration of knowledge of other people, places, and perspectives in the classroom throughout the year UNESCO 2014, rather than using a tourist approach or giving students a superficial glimpse of life in different countries now and then.
Okay, so basically, dapat daw i-advocate sa curriculum ang pag-connect sa isa ka perspective to other perspectives and not just simply showing the life of other people now and then in like a brief but not very well way gani. Like, di ba, some of the teachers would just present the concept or the lesson. Yung mga na siya. Na like, ano siya kahimtang sa mga tao from different countries with different cultural backgrounds and then that's it. How would the students know where they are coming from and how their lives look like if dili ka makahibalo sa nagkalain-lain na perception ani mga tawhana, di ba? Which is why it's really best to immerse na to ang mga students to the different kinds of lives and not just present it to them during the class so that ang students ma-introduce jud sila and ma-feel gid nila ang kinabuhi nga naauban nga wala nila na experience and they would be more open and be more open to accept, embrace diversity of people around the world. And last slide, please. Okay, I'm sorry for that. Yes, Miss Vinci, can you please read?
Connecting global and intercultural topics to the reality, context, and needs of learning group is an effective methodological approach to make them relevant in adolescents, to according to North-South Centre of Council of Europe 2021.
Yes, please continue the second bullet.
Okay, people learn better, become more engaged when the content relates to them and when they can see the parallels between many global issues and their immediate environment, according to I don't know how to pronounce it, Sozias Orozco and Todo Rava 2008.
Yes, thank you so much, Miss Nancy. Yes, so people learn better now and become more engaged when the content relates to them. It's of course. So let's have an example. Because students can become more aware of the risks related to climate change by studying the effects that natural phenomena have on their own community. On their own community. So, mas makarelate sila, di ba? Mas makaton sila if ilang kaugalingon, murag naka-experience ka sila itself sa kung unsa man ang ilang gistudihan, like for example, or kung unsa man ang gusto ka nga ma-aware of. So they will learn better again if they will become more engaged with the contents related to the that. And last but not the least, no, capitalizing, or let me emphasize that local expertise and the experience of young people in culturally responsive ways is actually particularly relevant when we teach less privileged or immigrant youth. And young people today must not only learn to participate in a more interconnected world, but also appreciate and benefit from those cultural differences. And when we develop a global and intercultural outlook, it's actually a process, a lifelong process, but education can shape it. All right, thank you so much, everyone. So that is all for my report, and then let me call on the next reporter. Thank you.
Okay, so now let us proceed. Good evening, everyone. I am Janine Joy Saplot, and I will be discussing about the pedagogies for promoting global competence. So before we dive into this, so do you have any idea what pedagogy is? Any do you have a recall lang if what is pedagogy? Since we already tackled naman about okay, you can speak lang. Pwede di ko kakita sa ni. If you have any idea, you can type and speak in chorus. Okay, an art of teaching, knowledge. Okay, thank you. Okay, so and also the global competence. If namoy idea, what is global competence? I think it is already discussed by the other reporter. Okay, so kaning ways of teaching, it is pedagogy panino, and of course the methods pedagogy. Okay, so when we say pedagogy, right, your answers are all correct. No, it refers sa methods o strategies na use ng mga teachers in education, no? And there are various pedagogical nga approaches nga gigamit sa mga educators depende pod sa kanang goal sa education and sa ilahang sa mga depende sa mga students nga kinahanglan sa mga students, and also depende sa subject. And when we say global competence, it refers sa mga ability to understand and respond sa global challenges and opportunities. So like kuan jud ang main word lang siguro ani or kay deep understanding sa global issues mo na siya ang a global competence. So when we are talking about the kind of pedagogies for promoting global competence, mao na siya ang various student-centered pedagogies na makahelp sa students na ma-develop ang ilang critical thinking about sa global issues. So respect sa kanaang communication, mga conflict management skills, and perspective taking and adaptability. So now let us move on sa first na pedagogy for promoting global competence. Next slide, please. Okay, so the first one is the group-based cooperative project work. So can someone please read? Okay, Miss Altaveros.
Improve reasoning and collaborative skills. It involves topic or team-based tasks suitable for various levels and ages, in which goals and content are negotiated and learners can create their own learning materials that they present and evaluate together.
Okay, so thank you, Miss Altaveros. So from the pedagogy itself, no, ang iyang name kay group-based cooperative project work. So it is a kind of student work in a small group to complete a project that requires them to na maka-collaborate, maka-communicate, and resolve og usa ka problem. So the projects are typically designed to be interdisciplinary. So again, interdisciplinary mo to siya ang incorporating content from multiple subject areas. So outside sa usa ka subject, di ba? Mo connect ta, incorporate ta. And to be authentic, dapat ang topic is dapat real world because siya nga problem, dili siya ingon nga problem like kanang math problems, no, dapat kanang real world jud kay para makarelate ang mga students. And group projects provide opportunities sa mga students nga explore bitaw sila og diverse backgrounds and to work together. So ang example ani is if ang student work from different countries can collaborate on a project that requires them to share their cultural perspective, or if na a group of students ba nga naay usa nga nasimang og na siya laing nga culture, and this one na siya laing nga culture, dili lang ingon nga nas kanang lahi siya nga country, but pwede ba nga kanang sa usara ta nga country pero naiba naman pud kay lain nga culture. So in this way maka-require sila nga maka-share bitaw sila sa ilang ideas, ilang cultural perspective, and find a common ground, and in that way makakatpon sila sa within their group, no. So if tagaan sila og topic sa teacher kay kanang every one of us gid kay na jud lain lain na ma-contribute na idea sa ato ang uh, kanang classmates. And then next slide please. Okay, so for the class discussion, can someone please read? Okay, Miss Isidro.
Class discussion, interactive approach that encourages proactive listening and responding to ideas expressed by peers, exchanging views in the classroom. Students learn that there is no single right answer to a problem, understand the reasons why others hold different views, and reflect on their origins of their own beliefs. Richard et al. 2011.
Okay, so thank you, Miss Isidro. So class discussion, so we are very familiar with this, no. This way students can engage sa mga meaningful nga mga conversation, share perspective, and critically analyze global issues. So from elementary, from high school, di ba, usually kay amo mo discuss man jud kay ang mga teachers, and then kanang yeah, like sa picture, di ba, if na ay mga if the and teacher nga, they have any idea about this one, and then mo raise sa atong hands, di ba? In this way maka-give to og ato ang knowledge, no. And this is a student-centered na approach, since we are given the chance na mo give sa ato ang perspectives about, of course, if we relate it sa katong yag, since we are talking about the global competence, so we relate this sa global issues, so we are kanang kanjud kanang hibaw jud ta makarelate bitaw ta kay, since we are in this kanang world man, and this global um, nga situation, no. And this encourage dialogue and exchange of ideas, of course, since class discussion create an interactive and inclusive learning environment where students can engage in dialogue with their peers, or of course makadialogue sila sa ilahang teachers, and of course ilang seatmates baron, di ba, usually nana jud na bitaw no kana classmate nana siya nana. And then this allows for the exchange of ideas, diverse perspective, and exploration of different culture and mga viewpoints on global issues. And next please, next slide. Okay, for the service learning, this was already kanang discussed by the other group. I remember na nag-discuss about service learning. However, this service learning here kay we relate it, since this is a pedagogy na i-relate na to sa global competence. So it is highly effective na pedagogy, since we are promoting global competence among the students. It combines meaningful nga community service with intentional learning objectives, and allowing students to apply their classroom knowledge in real world context. So the kanang main point jud aning service learning is we engage in community service, no. For example, di ba, kanang clean up drive. So in that way kanang mo immerse bitaw ang students sa practical na experience that connect them with the global issues, di ba, kay kanang issue man sad na ang kanang hugaw bitaw ang atong environment. And of course kanang by actively engaging the students in this service projects, kay students gain first-hand experience and develop a deeper understanding of the challenges faced by the communities around the world. So in this way makita sa mga students na so if dili ni siya limpyuhan kay babarado ang kanal, di ba, makita na to. And of course makakuan ko siya kanang cross-cultural bitaw ma engagement. This involves working with the diverse communities, so pwede ka maka-research or maka-interact sa mga people around that area, around that community, if what are the problems di ay nga gi-face dara nga certain nga lugar. And of course, service learning promotes the development of global citizenship skills and attitudes, since students learn about their responsibilities as global citizens, di ba? So since we are part of this community, di ba? So dapat mo involve jud ka, dili lang kay kanang think critically if unsa ang buhaton, but also we should kanang mubuhat jud bitaw ta sa angay nga buhaton nato as a student and as a person nga naa na ang community. So that is for the service learning, no? So wala lang nako gipabasa since pwede naman na kanang this is very sabotable lang and we're running out of time. And for the last is the story circle approach. Next slide, please. Okay, so it intends students to practice key intercultural skills, including respect, cultural self-awareness, and empathy. So in here, it involves creating a safe and inclusive space for participants, or the students can share personal stories and engage in dialogue. And the story circle approach is starts with the individual sharing their personal stories. So of course there are group of students na kanang words of mga circle wherein sila or kanang mag-sharing sila within that group, and this gives the students an opportunity nga maka-reflect on their own experiences, values, and then ilahang mga own nga mga beliefs, diba? So sinsaman sa lain-lain nga mga beliefs, and sharing personal narratives helps the foster self-awareness and empathy, key attributes of global competence. And of course, this kanang active listening bitaw, since kaning during story circles kay participants actively listen sa ilang other members o kanang ilang, diba, sa other members na kuno sila experiences, stories, and dapat wala tay judgment, dapat atong idawaton kung unsa ang, of course kailangan man ng experience, dili ka dapat nga mo kanabitang mo dili sa ilang kuan, kailangan man ng nagian. And this practice cultivates deep listening skills, allowing students to truly understand and appreciate diverse perspective. And also, ang teacher plays a vital role in facilitating in story circle approach, since they create a safe space and inclusive environment, establish guidelines for respectful dialogue, and facilitate a reflective discussions. So by intentionally selecting stories that provide diverse perspectives and global themes, dapat mo to siya nabuhatag sa og kanang specific na theme. For example, kaning nga group kay you're going to talk about poverty, or dara nga group kay kani sa pamanlaing global issues, no, so kanang human rights nana. And dapat ang teacher kay skillful siya sa iya pag-facilitate, since in that way kay makahelp siya nga mo connect between the personal stories and kanang i-connect nimo ang iyahang personal experiences sa global issues, and fostering global competence, empathy, and sense of global citizenship. So mo to siya, no, ang kaning four nga mga pedagogies. So there are a lot, and kanina siya ang kanang focus lang sa bang. So ang iyaha jong main points aning katong group based, katong class discussion, service learning of story circle approach, kay ang iyaha jong main focus niya kay we have different perspective, experiences, values, beliefs, pero kanang dapat ato bito siyang i-take kanang as opportunity nga makaton from different people, and ang previous nga learning kay connect nato siya sa existing o sa other nga mga opinions o ban, diba? So in that way naatay daghan nga mga learnings na makatunan. So muna siya ang kanang similarities sa upat. No, and next slide, please. So we have the attitudes and values integration toward global competence. So ganina kay pedagogies. So it is all about kanang academic graduate bitaw. And here kay attitudes and values. So next slide, please. So, can someone please read? Okay, Miss Fernandez.
Values and attitudes are partly communicated through the formal curriculum and also through ways in which teachers and students interact, how discipline is encouraged, and the types of opinions and behavior that are validated in the classroom. Therefore, recognizing the school and classroom environments influence on developing students' values would help teachers become more aware of the impact of their teaching on students.
Okay, so thank you, Miss Fernandez. So here's values and attitudes kay there are specific set of attitudes and values that enable us to kind of interact effectively with people from diverse backgrounds. So of course, when we are talking to other people, so dapat we have the courtesy with the respect, no? Para dili ko nila malain og sabot bitaw magtabi mo about that certain topic. So dapat para with siya kanang open-minded na conversation so that na-collaborate na-collaboration in between sa kanang the cultures and address and in addressing sa kanang global na challenges. And yeah, since we're talking about I mentioned kanina the open-minded, no? So we should be open-minded sa um, critical attitudes for global competence as it allows individuals to be receptive. So receptive kanang or kanang mo-accept bitaw ta og new ideas, perspective, and experiences. So this attitude promotes curiosity, empathy, and willingness to learn from others, essentially qualities for effective cross-cultural communication and collaboration. So um, dili ra dili ra ta about intelligence, no, kanang about we have knowledge about that sa on pag-solve in that certain problem, but also we have to integrate the kanang manners over intelligence, di ba? So dapat na jud tayo manners since if kuan man gud kanang dira sa jud magsugod ang tanan ba nga bitaw if we kana bitong ipalabaw bitaw nato ang peace, bitaw peace and order. So of course kanang there are kanang possibilities and dili jud bitaw mo exist ang kanang global issue since di ba na may global issue na for example war. And then of course when we say values, of course kay baw bitaw ta if unsa jud ang dapat nato nga buhaton, di ba, kanang common sense na bitaw. So and also kanang this promotes cultural sensitivity, no? Awareness and respect for cultural differences. Yes, mo na siya ako gisulti kanina, we should respect and natay courtesy when talking to other people about that certain culture, since natay lang nain na culture. And it involves recognizing and valuing cultural diversity and understanding the impact of culture and people's behavior, beliefs, no? And cultivating this value helps individual build relationship, manage the conflicts, and work collaboratively across cultures. And that is all for my part. And next reporter, please.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. This is Regine Sasson speaking, and this time I will give you some information pertaining to beginning reading skills and teaching resources. So, from the word itself, beginning reading, so kanang bago pa nagsugod og basa, basically mga primary grades. So, we were this time we were going to discover or describe what are those skills that allows a child to read fluently or successfully in the future, and of course as well as its teaching resources. So if we're going to talk about the skills, then it must be associated with some teaching strategies of how na pag-achieve na skills. So, but before that, let's define first what the word reading means is. So let's proceed to the next slide. Okay, so I know every one of you here is highly familiar with what is what reading means is because usually when we're being asked of what is our hobby or what are our hobbies, we tend to say that I love reading books. I love reading novels. What is reading, Mary?
Okay, so do you guys know how to read?
Yes.
Of course. All right, so if so, then I want everybody to open up your mic and read the context given.
Reading
Reading is
is
the
the
process
process
of
of
learning
learning
by
by
reading
reading
one message which is conveyed, whereas the written is seen and known by readers. Okay, thank you.
All right, so thank you so much for that. So basically, the reading, mo na niya ang ability to interpret or understand the message that comes from the perspective of the author. So not with the like communicating using our mouth, but using our eyes and of course, mag-process at ang brain. So that's reading. Now, reading has 5 components. Let's proceed to the next slide. Okay, thank you so much. So reading has 5 components. First, we have phonemic awareness, phonics instruction, fluency instruction, vocabulary instruction, and lastly, comprehension instruction. So I will only discuss one by one the three upper part of this, which is the phonemic awareness, phonics instruction, fluency instruction. So the remaining two will be discussed by the next reporter after me. So let's have the first one, phonemic awareness. Okay, so before we know what is phonemic awareness, let's break down the word first. So phonemic, that is based from the word phonemes. So when we say phonemes, everyone, those are the smallest units that makes up the spoken language. So which means to say, ang phonemes din muna siya mga individual sound gani nga naa sa word, because we cannot form a word without the individual sound, right? Okay, so here we have here the examples. We have the word fish. So the word fish has 4 letters, and we all know that each letter has its corresponding sounds, right? But here, ang fish kuno, there are only 3 phonemes. Ngano ka 3 Rasia? Okay, so it's because fish, ang S o H sa kinalasan is na-combine na siya. Ang sound niya is na-combine because wala man taning pronounce sa fish nga atong gi-emphasize ang sound sa letter H. So there are only the sound of F, the sound of I, and the combination of sounds of S and H. And next, we also have the word happy. Even though there are 4 letters of it, but it has only 3 letters because the double P in there, the 2P has only 1 sound. So that's phonemes. Now let's go with the phonemic awareness. So ang phonemic awareness, that is the ability to notice, think about, and work with the individual sound in a spoken words. So muna ang ability nato nga pag-notice nito unsa to ang mga individual na sound nga naa sa usa ka word. So basically, ang phonemic awareness, everyone, it's about understanding that words are composed of sounds. As simple as that. Now let's proceed with to the next slide, rather. Okay, so according sa ang reference na mong ikuhaan nani, so there are only 3 aspects that pupils need to learn under phonemic awareness. So first, we have pupils need to learn that spoken words consist of phonemes. As what I have said earlier, dapat may bawaan sa mga bata ang words kaya nag-consist na siya mga individual sounds. Next, how words can be segmented and how sounds can be blended and manipulated. So when we say segmented, muna siya katong mag-break down ta sa word in order for us to identify what are those sound nga naasaw sa word. And when we say blended, kana nang maghatag kayo as a teacher, for example, maghatag ka og sound baron sa letter. And then, imo nang ipa-identify sa mga bata kung unsa nga word ma-form within that sound that you have given to them. And then manipulated unsa na nimo pag gamit. So you need to teach that to your future kids or learners. Lastly, we have pupils need to learn how to use their phonemic awareness to blend sounds, to read words, and to segment sounds in words in order to spell them. So basically, ang bata, dili sila ka nang aware kung unsa to nga mga sound na nasa usa ka word, then they cannot spell that words correctly. So that's the important of it. Munang need na mahibawaan sa mga bata para sa sad, not just for them to read fluently or ilabang i-pronounce o sakto ang words, but in order for them to spell them too. So since we're already done with what are the three aspects that pupils need to learn, now let's move on with the teaching strategies on how to achieve these aspects effectively. So, for the teaching strategies, we have phoneme blending. As what I've said earlier, ang blending mo na siya ang process na maghatag ka og sound sa mga bata and then imo na i-form og letter. Like for example, you can ask, what word is, okay, just imagine, I am telling the sound of E as an eagle, and T. So, unsa man nga word atong ma-form na? Okay, unsa man nga word atong ma-form sa sounds of P, E, and T. Just imagine I am giving you the sound of P, E as an eagle, and T. Yes, Gia. Okay, so what word man ato ang ma-form from the sound P, E, and then T? Just imagine I'm giving the sound. Okay. Pet. 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 Thank you so much. So, pet. So, muna siya ang phoneme blending. Ihatag ni mo na ng sound and then sagdai ang mga bata nga makuha nila kung sa nag-word. So, but with your guidance as well. Next, we have phoneme categorization. So, from the word itself, categorization. So, imo ang ipa-identify nila asa baron ang nalahi when it comes to rhyming. Like, for example, you can ask, which word does not belong to bus, bun, or rug? So technically, the word rug, kay mo siya ang lahi o like different sa initial palandaan nga sound, lahi na siya. So that's phoneme categorization. Let's have phoneme identification for initial and final sounds. So for this, from the word identification, that's very understandable. So mo ipa-identify unsa nga kanang sound ang nasa kinaunan sa word and as well as nasa kinalasan sa word. Like for example, you can ask, does the word pack begin with a P sound, as in party? That's phoneme identification and how you can associate with this one in your instruction. Now let's have phoneme deletion. From the word itself, deletion. So na kay i-delete na letters within a word. But still, makaporma gyapon ka og correct na word. Kanang word nga naay meaning. Like for example, you can say, what is smile without the word, the letter S? Okay, so that's mild. So nagyapon siya meaning. So unsa pay lain nga word? Spark. Wala na mo spark. Hira. So spark from the word unsa man ang spark kung kwaon mo ang S. So napakay spark. Okay, that's phoneme deletion. So very basic man good kay basically sa primary nga grades. Wala na sila naguna-huna as the same as us. Okay, so next we have phoneme segmenting. From the word, ang segmenting, katong gingon ganina nga, imong i-break down ang word for you to identify unsa ang individual sound nga naa niya. That's phoneme segmenting. So for example, Anna, is you can ask something like, how many phonemes are there in a ship? So how many phonemes are there in a ship? Everyone. Is it one?
One.
Ship. Okay, there are two. Because the word S and H is only one. That's a combination, and then the sound of I and as well as the P. So there are two. So that's phoneme segmenting. Now let's have the phoneme isolation. So phoneme isolation, basically, if you're going to ask me what is different in segmenting and isolation, so technically just the same in terms of breaking down words, but what makes them different is the process of breaking down words. Because isolation, maguna ka ni katong hatag sa sound, and then imo ipa-identify sa mga bata. That's isolation. That is the ability to isolate a single sound within a word. Okay, so you can also in this one you can ask your learners, like, tell me what is the first sound in the word paste. The first sounds of paste, so ang sounds of P, right? So that's it. Teaching strategies under phonemic awareness. Now let's proceed to the next slide. Oh, I'm so sorry. Go back sa data. So, katong mga teaching strategies nila, given naman ba everyone, like, laylahi ang mga learners, nasa laylahi o a way in terms of learning. So, always remember that individual learners may progress at different rates. So, it's important to provide a supportive and differentiated learning environment for them. And then, consistent and structured practice, kanang dili bitaw mag-practice, kanang dili lailahi imuhang structure, and then along with positive reinforcement. So this is very important. Why? Because ang mga bata is ampay kada nilang daygon sila sa maestra. Like for example, ingon ba ni mga very good or tagaan mo mga stars. So ampay kada nila because ma-post ilang confidence nga mutubag sa imong pangutana even if they are wrong. So you as a teacher, imo nang tarungon og acknowledge bitaw ang idea sa bata. If they are wrong, then you can still give them some positive reinforcement regardless of their answer, and then right after, i-correct mo og tarong. Because dako kay factor ang confidence ng mga bata in terms of their learning. Regardless of unsa ka bright, unsa ka talented ang bata, kung wala na confidence, wala jud na siya. So, just like the other day, I would like to tell my experience. I nagdili na the other day, kay kato nakalimot ko sa prayer. So, karon mao na ko mo pray. So, how comes ba ka sa mga bata, di ba? Okay, so let's proceed with the next slide. Okay, so next we have phonics instruction. So, can I have Miss Anna to read?
Kanya, miss?
Miss, Miss. Anna Marie.
Okay. Phonics instruction. Phonics instruction is a method of teaching reading that emphasizes the relationship between sounds and their corresponding written symbols or letters. So the goal of phonics instruction is to help learners decode or sound out words by associating the sounds of spoken language with the symbols of written language.
Okay, so thank you so much, Ms. Otto. So yes, kung ang phonemic awareness, that is all about understanding that words are consist with individual sound. Ang phonics instruction, this is all about understanding the relationship between letters as well as its corresponding sounds. Why? Because there are in alphabetic principle or any discipline, ang A, B, C, D, ABCD jud na imong itawag regardless kung ang A mapunta na sa kinalasan. But kung ara na ka sa word manggod, mausab na siya. Like for example, the word cat and cake. Diba ang sound sa A, ang ikaduha nga A na usab. So that's a phonics instruction, and learners need to understand the relationship between sound for them to read properly the words. Okay, so let's have the next slide. Okay, so this is what pupils need to learn and their phonics instruction. So first, pupils need to learn that letter names are constant, whereas sound vary. So as what I've said earlier, the alphabetic principle A, B, C until Z. In terms of reciting that one, we will always say A, B, C, D. But kung ara na siya sa mga sound, di ba? For example, the letter C, lahi ang imong sound sa C, and then lahi sa imong gitawag, pero na ay word nga nag-start og C pero C gihapon ang imuhang sulti, like the word city. And then kung malahi na iyang sound, katong sound jud niya nga ato ang i-practice the word cake, diba? Like lahi ang sound. So second, letters can represent different sounds. So katong gingon ganina nga cat o cake. So the word cat, ang A nga diha ang second, ang first A sa cat kay kuan siya. I mean, there's only one A in cat. So ang A that is short ang imong pronunciation. Pero sa cake, na long A na siya. So you need to teach that to your students para dili bitaw mamali ilang pagbasa. So just like for example, kung kailan mo ni Carl sa unang basa ni Carl kabarsi sa kite kay Kitty. Naman kay wala pa na develop ang iyang ingani bitaw nga skills, wala pa na enhance wa siya kibaw nga ang mga letters ay mausab iyang pronunciation. So you need to teach your learners kung unsa ang relationship sa letter and as well as its corresponding sounds. Okay, then next we have the letters sometimes work alone and sometimes in groups. Like for example, ang me. Ang me, that's nakastand bitaw siya siyara, masabta na to ang word na me nga ako. Pero kung imo nang balihon, dili na siya ako. di ba? Dili na siya masabtan. Whereas, ang kaning kuansan, sometimes work in groups, like for example, the word thread. So, kung kwaon na nimo diha ang A as in apple, red, diha po nimo basa, but dili na pan ang nimo pagsabot sa usap ng iyahang meaning. And then, the word shit as well. So, next, let's have this next slide. Okay, so the same sound can be represented by different letters. Very understandable though, from the word teach and pitch. So, pareho sila og meaning, pero I mean sound, but they have different meanings. Next, the same letters may represent different sounds, like for example, the rough, cuff, and then so on. So, naidisdan lang siya ang first letter, and then ilhang sound sa kanang kinalasan is pareho, but they have this different meaning. Okay, so let's proceed to the next slide.
No, I swear it was there. They were in on it together.
Okay, so for teaching strategies under phonics instruction, first you have to provide explicit, systematic phonics instruction that teaches a set of letter sound relations. When we say word explicit, for those who aren't familiar yet with this word, so explicit, this means stated in a clear manner or a very detailed one, which leaves no room for your learner to be confused. So systematic phonics instruction, which is dili bitaw siya magkailahi.
You know how he spits when he yells?
Medyo guys,
Look at him nipple cream all over me.
dili na sila mag-libog because we as a future educator, we shouldn't confuse our learners. So for this one, set of letter sound relations, itong mga sound sa letter. And then if you're able to remember way back when we were still in grade 1, di ba mag-start dito sa lali, li, lulu, ka, ki, ki, koko. So that's the two-word combination, the consonant and the vowel. So muna ang imong ipa-start o basa sa imong mga bata from basic. Which is of course, muna naghatag already ang mga sound sa katong letters and then imong i-combine sa ubang nga letters. Next, provide explicit instruction in blending sounds to read words. So blending sounds, so for example, imo karong ipabasa na nila ang family words. Like for example, the A and T. We have cat, bat, hat, mga inana. So from basic until to very intense na nga mga combination. And then next, we have include practice in reading text. So, ang mga grade 1, basically, mga Bisaya pa man na ilahang basa ko. Kaya nung mo sa una kay, ang ipabasa kay, for example, si Ana kay may mataog sa iyo. Kaya na ang mga ipabasa sa pangamaista ka ng sabotable or gani para lang i-check nila kung asa na dapat ang level of learning sa mga bata. And then next, give a substantial practice for children to apply phonics as they spell words. So with that, when we say substantial, this means in a large degree. Kanang sakto bitaw nga practice, dili kanang kuwang-kuwang. And then you must also integrate or incorporate some kana activities nga in where ma-apply nila ang phonics and maka-help sa nila mag-spell words. Okay, so actually naman tay word na kanang puro bitaw consonant like the word fly. Then ako tayo mga consonant, vowel, consonant ng mga words. So, muna, need ni mo as a teacher nga magbuhat og activity na para matabangan nimo ang mga bata para maka-spell. So, now let's proceed to the next slide.
He can't even work out when they're next to him. Okay. I think hamstrings have been sufficiently stimulated.
So we
but he's not just
also
switching machines around women. So the internet wants to know why Sam is so
some
socially awkward, which is
like for
pretty
example,
easy
you
to see
can
in some of his
purpose
videos. Hey, don't distract my spotter.
the use case for sound letter
You think that a guy who's 250
functions. For
pounds
example,
lean and absolutely massive would have no trouble dealing with people, but
learning in terms
I mean,
of
who needs
reading.
social skills
So
when
let's
you've got
have
the
the next
biggest
slide.
muscles in the gym? Holy
So it's your role as a teacher no to be creative enough in order na
But it
masupplement
leads to
mo
some
ang atong
hilarious
area nga wala
moments
pa
when he's
nito
working out, like when people think he's talking to them in
Let's
the
have the next
gym.
slide.
I get a massive forearm pump just from holding on to him. I'm not talking to you, bro. Or when he told the guys who fix his
as for last
machine to
part
stop
of
yapping.
my discussion, we have fluency instruction.
Yeah, get out of here. Get out
So
of
when
here.
we say fluency instruction,
However,
as
not
the
all of his
definition
fans think he's
itself,
awkward.
like reading
He's not
fluency is
awkward
the
at all.
ability to
He's
read
just
accurately,
genuine. Shows you
rapidly,
that
and
he's
with
humble and not
expression,
a-hole.
so
But
the
things
reader
get
can
crazier
process and
because
comprehend
despite his humble charm
what
and
has
easygoing
been read.
attitude,
So
which make him an exceptional role
basically,
model, there's a darker
in
side
its
to the influence
simplest
he has on younger
meaning,
men who
ang
will
kaning
do
fluency
anything
instruction mo na na katong part na mag-ana mabitaw ka pas minisahan sa mga bata dili na kanang ra sila og like nag-orasyon ang mga grade
on that target audience that's younger. Even if that
Diba,
means
ma
following his
ataw ilang pagbabasa even if ang ilang gibasa kay hala nahug ang bata pero ang grade 1 magbasa na ano sa nahug ang bata so, walay expression so diri ang fluency instruction is all about teaching the learners how to read ng paspas na bitaw sila but as well as naghapoy comprehension so kung ang bata nga kasabot sa iyang gibasa then makuha nila ang proper expression sa ilahang gibasa so that's fluency instruction.
A lot of the kids
Have the next slide.
which I know a lot of kids who follow me, they can be like kind of manipulated pretty easy to where I'm more worried about these
So
younger
what pupils
guys
need to
hopping
learn
on
under
because
fluency
they look up to
instructions.
someone like
First,
Sam.
how to
Maybe Alex is
decode
right,
words
because it's not
easily.
just
So ang
diets that people
pagsabot
are copying,
na mga
it's
kita ka
also
klaro
the
og
cycles.
word din matarong bitaw nila og basa. Yan. And next, how to automatically recognize words like accurately and quickly with little attention or effort. Like for example, kung dili ka maka-recognize dayon sa word, at ang ilang grade 1 ka, then makabasa ka word na bike, magtanga pa ka, maghanag-hangad ka sa kisa mo, magkuhan ka sa problem, isa man bike. Pero kung maka-recognize na ka sa words, then maka-ibasa ni mo sa word na bike, then ayun ka ay bike, at ayun ka paligid, then mudagan. Next, how to increase speed or rate or reading while maintaining accuracy. So, napaspas ang binuga na paspas lang pagbasa, pero nakasabot hapon sa silahan basa nila standard face bitaw dili sa as in paspas na mura na sa nag-rap and then nakasabot sila for them to get the proper expression of what has been read. Next. Okay, so how do we teach? Since given naman to ang katong learning areas na needing mo i-teach sa mga bata, then how do we teach that one? So first, you have to provide opportunities for guided oral, repeated reading. So as far as I remember, way back sa akong elementary, then na I provide ang teacher kana bitong reading exam na. And then, kana siya, dili na siya purely reading, just to test kung pas-pas na baka mabasa, hindi na ba pag-pronounce mo sa words, but it's all about oral reading, gani ka nang i-check kung nasabtan na ba nimo mo ibasa. So, you can have some context, mga simple context para ipabasa nimo sa mga bata. Like, for example, there are 5 monkeys in a dance battle, then you can ask what are the monkeys doing, and just to check their comprehension. And next, match reading text and instruction to individual students. For example, kung imuhang learners kay grade 3, then dapat pang grade 3 po na ka context na imuhang ipabasa sa ila, dili pang college. Okay, so next slide please. So we have teaching strategies. So under fluency instruction, we have a lot of teaching strategies and in terms of reading. So we have first, oral reading from the word itself, chorus. Kanang ikay maguna og basa, then i-follow nimo sa mga bata. And then, ang oral reading sa kay naani siya process gani. So for oral reading, you can choose a passage or text that is suitable for the reading level of the group, and then read the text aloud first, and then with proper expression as well as the pronunciation of words, and then ipasa out sa mga bata. So in kaning tape reading, kanang recorded na mga reading naman sa mga students na they learn best in terms of kanang maminaw ra bitaw sila. So kung true maminaw sila sa imong tape reading or kanang record, then makuha nila ang proper expression as well as the pronunciation of words. Then reading, this is basically the same sa oral reading, kana ikaw mag-una at then i-follow nimo sa mga bata. So for body reading, under this one, katuning by pair na. So, naman sila ilahi ang kanang edad sa imuhang kanang learners in that classroom. So, pwede nimo i-pair ang kanang duwang estudyante sa bata nimo nga estudyante. Pwede nimo i-pair ang kanang may na mubasa at sa dili kayo may mubasa ni magtulit-ulit at and next, incorporate some songs, replace poetry and nursery rhymes can be used to practice fluency. So this is very kanang evident gani. Kaya I have younger sister, na siya kanang mag-dyslexia, kanang bali iyahang pagbasa sa words. So whereas kanang may kaya siya mo kanang kanta pero imong i-present sa iyaha ang lyrics sa kanang kanta wala na siya di na siya kibabasa kay iya ra man gipaminaw din iya memorize so ingana sa pedagog ka ng part bitaw ang songs para sa learning sa so I guess that would be all for my assigned topic and let's have the next reporter if we still have time. Thank you so much.
So good evening everyone, in the short outline I'm going to discuss the vocabulary instruction. So vocabulary is the range of words a student understand. So these are the words that you must know to communicate effectively. And in general, vocabulary can be described as oral vocabulary and written vocabulary. So oral vocabulary, these are the words we speak or we hear from others. And reading vocabulary is mauni siya mga vocabulary words nga atong mabasa in books and in research and so on. It also aims to engage students in active thinking about word meanings, the relationships among words, and how we can use words in situations. Next slide, please. So what students need to learn? So first is the meanings of most of the words in the text. So need siya nga man-learn sa students ang mga vocabulary words para makabaw mo sa ang paggamit sa mga vocabulary words in text or in communicate sa others. Second is how to apply a variety of strategies to learn word meanings. So students set is dapat kibaw sila sa paggamit or sa mga strategies gamiton nga. Ang kanang words nilang gamiton is ma-correct siya sa in a sentence or dili siya malong grammar and sakto sa ang pagkabot nila sa meaning sa kanang vocabulary words. Third is how to make connections between words and concepts, and lastly how to accurately use words in oral and written language. So mao ni siya ang mga need na i-learn sa mga students in vocabulary instruction. Next slide please.
Dahil sa ginawa.
So how we teach? So teachers should provide opportunities for students to receive direct, explicit instruction in the meanings of words and in word learning strategies. So for example, para makahibaw ang mga students, especially kung unsay connection anang mga words ana sa inyong gipangsulti or sa mga gipangbasa ninyo, dapat ma-engage ang mga students, especially kanang reading, then provide kung may mga unfamiliar words nga ma-encounter ang students, dapat ang teacher ana is tuluan dyan na nila unsa na siya nga unsay meaning ana sa words nga ilhang na unfamiliar para makahibaw ang students kung asa ni gamiton ang words kung unsaon ni siya pag-connect sa mga sentences. Second is provide many opportunities for students to read in and out of school. So read in school is, for example, kana na ay i-conduct ang teacher nga reading comprehension, especially naman din na siya every month kana way back in elementary nga pag-ausun gani ang students ana is pabasahon ang students din na ay paansiran nga question, di ba? So through ana is makasabot jud ang mga students kung unsay mga meaning ana, unsay kanang connection ana sa iyahang gibasa. Third is engage children in daily interactions that promote using new vocabulary. For example, ana is kanang ang teacher is mag-conduct og rule nga English only policy, di ba? So through ana is mas mo-widen ang knowledge sa students sa mga English vocabulary. Next slide, please. So here are the teaching strategies. First is small words in big words. So way back in elementary, di ba, is natudlo dyan sa mga teachers na, for example, is mango. Pangitaon mo diha ang kanang, aside sa word nga mango, is pangitaon mo mga small words nga ma-create ana sa mango. For example, kanang man, go, and an. Di ba, dili naman na siya kanang mapareha og meaning. Dili na siya literal nga mango nga fruit jud siya. So na-divide mo siya, na-breakdown nimo ang mga words nga naa sa mango. Like sa man, di ba, human, and go is like, is maad to, then end. Next, please. Next teaching strategy is word of the week. So, through my experience is way back pag grade 7 ako is every day jud sa mo every day is naa jud dapat word of the week. For example, kana siyang naisa ko nga claim. So dapat naa sa jud na usa jud na sa teaching strategy sa maestra para makahibaw ang mga students anak kung unsay meaning anang claims, like sa mga uban nga students nga wadyo sila kaila kung unsay meaning anang claims, kabasa sila pero wa sila kasabot kung unsay meaning ana doon sa paggamit ana di gamit-gamit sila anang words nga claim sa ilahang pagtabi di wala sila kasabot more sa nonsense ilahang pang storya kaya ma-misinterpret pod sa ilahang pagtabi. Next, please. Next is the word taxonomy. So, kasagaran ani is pag elementary ani nakita naan ni sa among room sa una nga ang among maestra is mag-paste na siya like mo siya chart, and then naa dito mga words, then kauban sa words ana is mga pictures. So through ana is makita nimo ko sample kanang pumpkin, unsa din ang pumpkin di wala kay lang kuan di mo nang mag-provide po na sila og picture di nga makaila sa mao din ni siya pumpkin, amo din ni siya peach. So makabudget through ana makabudget ang students kung unsay but pasabot ana nga word. So those are the teaching strategies of the vocabulary instruction. Next, please. So next is the comprehension instruction. So reading comprehension is the process of determining the meaning of the text. So ang comprehension and the vocabulary instruction is correlated na siya. Kay kung saan nimo pagkasabot sa imong gipabasa kung wala ka kahibaw sa mga vocabulary words, di ba? So need nimo makabaw sa mga meanings ana sa words para makasabot ka sa imong mga gipang basa, especially naman jud tay mga nagpabasa ko nagita sa maestra, basa-basa ra ta di wa ta kasabot sa tungkuan. Di what if tan-o ta sa maestra kung sa imong na learning, di wa tay makatubag, di mo ta kasabot kung sana siya kay especially na mga unfamiliar words di ba. Next, please. So, what students need to learn in comprehensive instruction? So, first is how to read both narrative and expository text and how to understand and remember what they read. So, need yun nga ma-learn sa students na kung saan pagsabot sa mga ilang sa mga narrative and expository. Expository means ka ng mga facts information. Ingana. So, dapat kasabot yun ng mga students kung kanilang ipambasa is kuan ba na fact, tinuod ba na siya or non-fiction ba na siya. So, dapat makasabot yun ang mga students ana kung sa pag-determine. Then second, to how to understand and remember what they read. So, dapat in reading sa pagbasa lang sabtong yun na sa student kung saan lang ibasa kalain po kayo basa-basa lang kadidi ni mo sabtong di ba. So, kung saan man-learn ni mo ana kung ing ana day mo hang binuhatan. So, third, how to relate their own knowledge or experiences to text. So, di ba, in reading is namjit times nga basa ka na di imuha siyang ang imuha mga knowledge about sa mga ipambasa nimo is imo jud na maput maimuha i-connect nimo sa imuha mga experiences na dyan na siya na dyan na times sa manako na times ato sa una way back elementary basa ko kasagaran sa nalibro ana sa English is mga story di ba naiuban na to mga experiences nga same report sa ato so dali na masabtan sa students kung sila lang gipang basa. Fourth is how to use comprehension strategies to improve their comprehension. And lastly, how to communicate with others about what they read. Next, please. So how we teach comprehensive instruction. So the teachers should teach comprehension strategies such as previewing and summarizing text. So of course, in reading the taas mo dyan yung basahan mo. So ang itulo dyan na sa teachers is kanang i-summarize o kwao na ang mga key points and are important details ana para mas dali ra siya masabtan sa students ug dali ra sad siya kanang mas ma-memorize sa students ug dali ra nila masab kung unsay buot pasabot sa ilahang gipang basa. Second is provide comprehension instruction before, during, and after reading. So before, so it will activate students' prior knowledge and set a purpose for reading. While during, it helps students make connections, monitor their understanding, generate questions, and stay focused. And after, it provides students an opportunity to summarize, question, reflect, discuss, and respond to text. Third is promote thinking and extended discourse. Next, please. So these are the teaching strategies of comprehensive instruction. So first is summarizing and paraphrasing, reducing larger text to focus on important elements. That's just like what I have said earlier. Katong pag-summarize is kwaon mo ang key points or mga important details sa imong gibasa nga book, sa imong basa nga book or mga research ana para masabtan mas masabtan sa students ang ilahang gipangbasa, ang ilahang gipang um, unsay bot pasabot sa ilahang gipangbasa. Second is predicting based on clues in text like pictures, subtitles, etc. For example, ito um, sa picture pa lang inaam dyan na yung mga uh, sa picture pa lang is makita na na kay clues nga makita, di ba? Example, picture is um, na na-interact ang picture is na-interactive sa isa ka classroom. So, based on that is sabtan sa students nga kani sila is na sila active participation. Kani sila is naada sila kanang gibuhat nga kanang um, oral participation. So, through that is masabtan sa students ang ilahang nakita. Third is comparing, thinking more specifically about connections they are making. And lastly is creating sensory images to assist with overall comprehension of a text. Next, please.
So, dira lang sa takutom guys. Thank you kayo and sorry sa abala. So, mag-meet lang ta tomorrow.